answer, does size matter in martial arts and self-defense? And this discussion I've been having for a long time. I've been doing martial arts since I was 9. I was always a big person, a big kid. Judo was my first martial arts. I grappled, I wrestled in high school. I've done a lot of boxing. I've done a lot of traditional Korean martial arts, Filipino martial arts, Japanese martial arts. I've done a little Kung Fu, just a tiny bit. And the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So, I'm not pretending or proposing that I'm a master in all things. I'm not. I've done a lot of different things. Some things I've done for an extremely long amount of time, and I am very skilled and learned. And so this discussion is going to be more about my experience and my education. And the question is, does size matter in martial arts and self-defense? And you can answer that question in the comment section. This is a discussion. I want to hear what you say, because I'm not the expert on everything. I don't know everything. No one knows everything, right? You say God knows, that's it. But what do you think? And if you don't agree with something that I say, please put that in the comment section. But give an idea of why you see it differently, or what your experience has been that's different than mine. So I want to start by separating the two. I want to say martial arts is martial arts, self-defense is self-defense. A lot of people will say such and such martial art is great for self-defense. That might be true. It might help with self-defense, but in my opinion, self-defense is very different than martial arts. And we'll talk about why. And you can disagree with me too. Put that in the comment section. This is a discussion. What do you think? But the first thing that I'll say is, in martial arts, I'm talking about sport, competition martial arts mainly, but also in martial arts where it's more esoteric and you might spar with people, and you might not necessarily go to competitions, but you still spar, you still are competitive, you're still learning techniques. Size does matter. Size matters a lot, and especially in striking martial arts like boxing, Muay Thai, kickboxing, karate, and the more traditional Do martial arts. It's less important. Judo is very important. Grappling, size does matter. That's why when you go to competitions, they have weight categories. You don't have big monster dudes fighting with tiny little guys. I've done that. I've been in competition where I hit a guy and he went flying. It was for grand champion of sparring. I outweighed this kid easily 120 pounds. And he could hit me with everything he had. Full of adrenaline, don't feel it anyway. And I hit him once and he goes flying. Every time I made contact with this kid, it looked like, in his eyes, it rocked his world. So I know from personal experience, but also from common sense. Hey, G. Carlton, it's good to see you. Put it please, in the chat is awesome. What do you think in the chat? Please put in your comment in the chat. Does size matter for martial arts? We're talking about that first. We're going to talk about self-defense in a minute and why I see it differently, and what do you think? But what do you think? Does size matter in karate? Does it matter in judo? Does it matter in Brazilian jiu-jitsu? Does it matter in tang sudo? Does it matter in hapkido? Does it matter in kung fu? Does it matter in Western or Northern Shaolin style or praying mantis style? I don't know what that is. What does it matter? I just at the store. I think that's flour from the counter. Anyway, so what do you think? Does size matter, and why? Why does it matter? We know that there are weight categories in wrestling. We know there are weight categories in boxing. We can see that if you put a man in a woman's sport like boxing, like we saw over the Summer Olympics, where he just hits so much harder because our bodies are made differently. So we know size matters. We know gender matters when it comes to that. Now, let's talk about self-defense, because I think self-defense is completely different. And Patrick Kelly says there are pros and cons with all size people. And it's an excellent point. I was just in the gym. I go to a serious bodybuilding gym, not because I'm a bodybuilder, but because it's closest to my house. End of story. It's closest to my house. It's open early. It's open late. I can get a workout in when I have some time, because I don't often have much time. But when I go in there, I see massive men and women who are on gear, what they call gear, who obviously are taking performance-enhancing drugs, and they have big, giant muscles. But I know that they cannot necessarily fight. That doesn't translate well. It doesn't translate well in sport martial arts either. If you get too big, it slows you down. We always thought that was like a, I don't know, wives' tale or whatever, but that's a real thing. You talk to competitive coaches, they don't like you putting on a lot of muscle and putting on a lot of size when you're competitive in certain martial arts, because it does slow you down. It slows you down dramatically. Now, if there's a There's a point where you can put on muscle and you can hit harder and you can be faster as long as you don't push yourself into a higher weight category, which again comes back to in sport martial arts and that style, martial arts, boxing, striking, even grappling, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, and Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Size does matter, right? We don't have the big guys rolling with the little guys. But BJ Penn, back in the day, even now, someone who's much smaller, he, because of his skill and his expertise, that's where size doesn't matter as much in martial arts. So there is, and what do you think? Put that in the comment section. What do you think? Is there a way that size doesn't really matter for martial arts if you're not talking about, straight fighting or whatever? If we take two people who are like one who's extremely experienced, like a featherweight boxer from, like a national champion from Mexico, or a Cuban boxer, or a kid from south side of Chicago or whatever, who can really, really fight. He's been in a lot of fights. He's not very heavy, but he's lightning fast, and he knows how to put his weight behind it. He can knock you out, and you can be twice as big. In that case, size doesn't matter. So Christian Thompson says, win the battles of timing. Yeah, so there's timing and distance, experience. This is where, in martial arts, back to the martial arts discussion, timing, distance, understanding, experience, that can beat size every single time. You can be a much smaller person and have better timing and distance, understand what you're doing, master techniques better than someone else, have developed massive power. You can have more dense, fast, quick twitch muscle fiber, and you can hit with a lot more power. So in that case, size doesn't matter in traditional martial arts, and we're talking about the martial arts side. But what about self-defense? In self-defense, there's this concept of using violence against violence, and it comes from Tim Larkin's book. He's not the originator of it. But I think he's codified and kind of put a lot of structure around it that makes a lot of sense. Hey, Short 27, it's good to see you. So Tim Larkin's book, When Violence is the Answer, I put a link in the description. If you haven't read it, you should read it if you're at all serious about defending yourself, keeping your family safe, anything with self-defense. And it uses this concept of violence against violence. So the idea is that he could be bigger, faster, stronger, younger. There could be more of them than you. And if you're defending your life, the throat on you and the throat on him is going to crush under the same amount of pressure. His eye is going to pop out of his face for self-defense. At the same amount of pressure, you can crush his nose. You can crush the cartilage in his solar plexus. You can crush his private parts with the same amount of force that he could use against you. And this is where size doesn't matter. This is where understanding how to target what you can remove or destroy, and this comes from the book, Tim Larkin's book, When Violence is the Answer. What do you remove or destroy? Take a deep breath, calm your mind for just a second, and then the technique will present itself. So once you've acquired a target acquisition, you've said, I'm going to go for his eyes, I'm going to take away his ability to see me, and then your fingers rake and pull his eyes out of his head. Size doesn't matter. He can be bigger than you, he can be younger than you, he can be stronger than you. But what do you think? This is the discussion. It's not I'm the only one that knows. As somebody who teaches it, this is what I teach. But what do you think? What's your experience? Because this is where we can evolve and grow the channel and the discussion and our virtual training group, and we learn from each other. What do you think? What's been your experience? I've seen people who have zero formal training but have the right mindset be able to just do horrible things in both self-defense and just in violence, and it doesn't matter how big they are, because they're using violence. They're using violence. They're using the understanding of violence. They have the ability to flip a switch in their head and to do things to other people in a violent way that is hard for a lot of people to do if they've never had the concept, either in a bad way or in the way that you need to be able to flip the switch in your mind for self-defense. Again, go to that book, When Violence is the Answer by Tim Larkin. But being able to remove or destroy his ability to see, breathe temporarily, permanently, his ability to grab onto you because you smashed bones in his arm, or you stabbed something into the arm that maybe you had a pocket stick and you stabbed that in there, or you have your flashlight and you rake that into his face and into his eye and rip the eye straight out. That's self-defense concepts. So in that case, in my opinion, my experience, size does not matter, and you cannot let the fact that someone is bigger And you can't be tricked by the fact. When you see someone like the gym that I just came out of, if you are unexperienced and don't understand fighting and don't understand violence and the use of violence and self-defense, and you see some of these guys and you'd be like, oh my gosh, that guy's so massive, or he's so jacked, or she's so jacked, that guy kicked the snot out. They can't. And I'm not saying they can't. Some of them probably can fight. Some of them probably do have some martial arts training or some self-defense training or whatever, or some experience in fighting. But you can't be tricked by the cover of the book. Cover of the book, don't judge a book by its cover. That doesn't necessarily mean because a guy is big and jacked that you need to be afraid of him. One of my favorite memes that goes around the internet from time to time is a picture of two bodybuilders, and the caption says, what most people are afraid of. Meaning that you'd be afraid that guy, obviously, look how big he is. He's gonna beat he's gonna beat me up, whatever. And then there's another picture right next to it, and it's two like Mexican featherweights or whatever. And they look like they can fight, and they've been in hundreds of fights. And it says what people who can fight are afraid of. And it's just because you understand that if somebody's been trained to fight, knows how to fight, knows how to find the target, knows how to connect, knows how to throw, a good punch, rotation, extension, acceleration, connect, and knock somebody out, they know how to fight. And the same thing can be true for you. And you don't have to be a featherweight world champion boxer. You can learn the principles of self-defense. But what do you think? Put it in the comment section, because it is a discussion. Do you agree? Do you disagree? If you agree, what skill set, what's the mindset that you have to have? What's the training that you could get that would give you, in addition to, some more experience or some more confidence in your ability to defend yourself? What is the, what styles of martial arts could you take that would supplement or augment or give you, should you learn Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu so you know how to fight on the ground? I think the answer is yes. Should you learn how to throw an excellent boxing punch and learn how to move your head and not get hit, learn how to slip a jab and learn how to bob and weave a little bit, learn how to throw a good straight punch, a good hook punch, a good uppercut? I think the answer is yes. Should you learn maybe a little bit of Muay Thai so you could throw some elbows and some knees and drop somebody if you had to for self-defense? I think the answer is yes. Some people will say, oh, this is all you need for self-defense. You just carry one of these. Can't carry that everywhere. Take that into the concert that you're taking your husband, your wife, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, taking your grandkids to Disney World. You're going through 6 or 7 metal detectors just getting in the front door. You're taking your family on a trip. We're getting ready to go to a country where I can't take anything. I'm going to take this. I'm going to have my self-defense cane. I can take my self-defense tools because they are mobility tools, right? And this is my massage tool. That's all that is. But I can also defend myself with it, right? All the ways that we talk about self-defense. But what do you think? What tools could you carry in self-defense? Or is it a moot point because size does matter for self-defense? I say size doesn't matter, but that's my experience. That's my training. What do you think? Put that in the comment section. And if you think that I'm full of it and I don't know what I'm talking about, put that in there too. Let's make this discussion, but back up your argument a little bit and then comment on each other's comments. I'd really like to see where this goes and try to understand, where we can all improve. What can we do better? That's the question. The next thing I'm going to ask is which martial art is best for self-defense. Not meaning which martial art is self-defense, because I don't believe any martial art by itself. It may be the KZ method, maybe Krav Maga, maybe I don't know, some ways that some people teach Filipino martial arts. There are some martial arts out there that are designed where they've been stripped of or have never had the competitive aspect, where they're straight for fighting and self-defense. So I'm not saying that they're not, but I want to have that discussion. Yeah, wise guys say attitude plays a role too. Attitude is 1,000%. You see, I think, they captured a lot of these, Seven Sons Steve Ahoy. You've seen the movie series, The Godfather. The Godfather was a great movie because you would see what a person who was capable of using violence against somebody not for self-defense, but for their, hey, Javier Ramos is here in Florida. Yeah, scenario-based training. You got to get some scenario-based training, but put that in the comment section, not just in the chat, please. If you put that in the comment section, then that helps us make a long-term discussion. And I'd like to come back to this and have it again. But the next video we're going to do, we're going to talk, next live stream, I want to, well, the next live stream, I got to do the cane. I just love training the cane, and I've had a request for a close quarter. What happens when you're sitting in the plane or on the bus? How can you use your cane for self-defense? So we'll talk about that. But then I also, at some point in the near future, want to have the discussion, which martial art is best for self-defense? And we'll go over the obvious ones, the Krav Magas, the KZ, the, I don't know, what the Sayat Kali or whatever. And then we'll go over more sport. We'll talk about what's happened to Taekwondo. Hey, wise guy, it's good to see you. How did they do that to Taekwondo? Why would they do that? Taekwondo used to be like Shotokan karate, and now it's like footloose, foot dancing or something. And it's and a lot of martial arts schools, a lot of Taekwondo schools around the world, taught by older generation Koreans and Americans and Australians, Brits and Irish and whatever, who are teaching them second, third generation. They're still teaching in the old way, but if you go to the competition now, they're wearing little electronic socks and booties, and they're tapping each other with their feet, and they're giving extra points. And I remember when that was taken off and that was happening, and I know exactly why they did it. It's for the greenbacks, baby. It's to try to make it more exciting to watch. And it's like everything else. If that's not your sport, you don't want to watch it. You're not going to pull people in to watch it. So just make it what it is. Take it back to where it used to be, where you're knocking people out. But MMA kind of took that over anyway. So that's a discussion. Is MMA good for self-defense? But we'll have that discussion next. But please, in the comment section, let me know, what do you think? Does size matter in martial arts? Does size matter in self-defense? Do you see it like I do, two separate things? Or do you see it in a different way? Random American says, most criminals want an easy target. If you look like you'll be a problem. Yeah, paying attention is number one. If you look like this, walking around staring at your phone, you're the best target in the world, because you have no situational awareness. They're going to pick on you first. If you walk around and you're all huddled and you look terrified, they're going to pick on you second, because you're an easy mark. You're an easy target. So learn how to keep your chin up, look around you, throw your shoulders back, take a few. Maybe that's why martial arts is so good, because it gives you that strength. Yeah, Matthew, I missed that comment. Matthew was talking about his experience and stuff. But again, put it in the comment section if you would. Let's make this a discussion that grows, and learn from each other, and we'll reconvene. And the next time we talk, let's talk about which martial art is best. But let me know what you think. I don't want it just to be me talking to you or talking at you. That's even worse. I like to hear what you think and understand more. And that's what I miss. I miss, having a martial arts school where I can go in the class. And the way I always like to teach is that I don't know everything. Yeah, Matthew says size doesn't matter. I don't know everything, and I don't pretend to know everything, and I'm often wrong. As my mentor, Dan Pena, always says, I may be wrong, but I'm never in doubt. And that's true. That means you pretend like you know it, and then once you realize, oh, you know what, I was wrong. And that happens to me all the time. I realize I was wrong. This is what I thought it was. This is what I thought that style was. This is what I thought. This is why I thought they were doing that. And then I'm wrong. And I realize, oh, it's a lot more it's complicated or complex or valuable or whatever. And I just didn't understand it. And my fat mouth started blabbering around, and I stuck my foot in my mouth. And it's my own fault. I should learn how to not have such strong opinions. And that is the key to being in martial arts for a long time and learning from so many other people, is getting your ego out of the way and realizing that you don't know everything. And often what you know has been taught to you by people who don't know everything at all. Oh yeah, Matthew says technical difficulties. Me too, Matthew. On my side, my phone keeps overheating. That's why this is the second time we've had this discussion today. I know some guys were on earlier, and I was in the middle of bumping my gums, and all of a sudden I got the screen of death, which said that I was overheated. So I find a nice shade tree, and I got a few more minutes to wait and pick up from the camp. Let me tell you this. Speaking of self-defense, there's a security guard in there right now. And I think you guys know that in my other life, I run a team of security people. I'm a security director, and I take it very seriously. And if you're on your phone and you're responsible, especially for children, the safety of children, especially at a church camp, during times like these, when there are threats everywhere, and you're gonna stare at your phone and watch videos, I'd like to knock you in the mouth. I personally would. Now, I don't, because I'm not gonna assault somebody, but I will say, get off your phone, stick it in your pocket, and pay attention. You're here to protect these children. Now, my child is in there, and last night when I came in, I walked up to the guy, and they put him in a chair, which, again, why do you need to sit down? People work retail, work restaurants all day long. They don't sit. This guy doesn't need to sit. I said, they got you a nice perch. And he said, yeah, it's comfortable. And I said, what are you watching on your phone? I said, you watching TV? I don't know. And he said, oh, just Facebook. Ha ha ha, I'm watching jokes. And he tries to tell me a joke. And I said, I don't want to hear it. You're here to protect these kids. And he just looked at me with this blank stare on his face. And thankfully, there was a female police officer who's also here for security. And she's paying attention. She's doing a fantastic job. I've seen her before. She does do a great job. She's always alert. She's always ready. But this guy, if he's on his phone right now, I'm going in 1 minute. If he's on his phone right now, I'm going to let him know that he's not doing it right. And I'm going to demand that he stick his phone in his pocket. And that the next time I see him, he better not be on his phone. And it's not an empty threat. I'm not going to like beat him up or anything. But I want him to understand that that's my child that you're supposed to be protecting, and then the other 400 or 500 kids that you're responsible for. So if you ever find yourself in a position where you're at your church or you're at your kid's school or whatever, and you see the security guard and their face is stuck in their phone for any reason, I don't care what it is, feel free to speak up, because that's the only way it's going to change. These guys are too comfortable, too relaxed. This is not the time in the world that we live in right now, in this country right now, today, 6/19 at 4:28 p.m. in West Palm Beach, to be staring at your phone, period. And I don't mind saying it, and I hope you don't mind saying it either. Sorry, I had to get on my soapbox there. I had to tell somebody. And like I said, I don't have martial arts school, so it's not like I'm going in and talking to my staff or talking to my students. So I thought I'd share that with you. But please, we should help each other out. We should help, our world out, our community out. You see a security guard, don't get in a fight or anything. Just let them know, hey man, get on, and don't try to be like overly polite, because they don't get it. Don't make it a joke. Hey, haha, I see you're on the phone. Should you be paying attention to the kids? Don't make it a question. Say, hey man, you're staring at your phone. Pay attention to what's going on here, because it could happen like that. And it does happen like that. And there's video after video after video of policemen, security guards staring at their phone as the bad guy walks through and goes and does his dirty deed somewhere else. So get off your phone and pay attention. All right, soapbox is done. I'm gonna go in, wish me luck. For his sake, he better not be on his phone. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you.